This is Alex from Adult Services. We're going to celebrate May the 4th, Star Wars Day. So may the Force be with you, and we're going to go over taking a look at some neat collectibles from the Star Wars films. Mainly from Star Wars A New Hope, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars Return of the Jedi. And then after that, I would like to go over a couple different resources you can use to be able to research either Star Wars collectibles, more information about Star Wars, or just some books and movies about Star Wars. So may the Force be with you, and let's begin. So since we're in the 40 years of Empire Strikes Back celebrates the 40th birthday, I'd like to show a little bit more of my Empire Strikes Back t-shirt that I'm wearing today. So again, happy birthday, Empire Strikes Back movie. So I'm going to showcase a couple collectibles from the Star Wars films. We have figurines, we have glasses, we have lunchboxes, and video games. So starting from the left, we have a character, a Tusken Raider, on a creature that you would have seen in Tatooine in the first film, A New Hope. And then we have a little Jawa figurine. He's also a character you'll see when in A New Hope they drive that sandcrawler, that huge sandcrawler to sell off the droids to Luke Skywalker. Then we have the character of Yoda, which is a Kenner piece. So we have a collectible. It's always neat on the back to look at some of the descriptions. It tells you a little bit more about the character, who the character was. You can also look down at the bottom and you can get an idea who the company was that created this character. So Kenner, 1995 Tonka Corporation. And you also get an idea what other collectibles are out there you can buy by Kenner. So it's kind of neat when you can find a package. Then we have a Ewok plush. That's a plush that would be from the Return of the Jedi. Lived on planet Endor. A character from Tatooine, Max Rebo. We have a Return of the Jedi glass. We have Yoda's planet in the Dagobah system, which has Master Yoda. This is where Luke Skywalker was going to get his training to become a Jedi from the Jedi Master Yoda. We have Luke Skywalker's X-Wing, and then R2-D2, Luke Skywalker's droid. So the neat thing about these Micro Machine sets is they take snapshots of some of the scenes from the films, which were really detailed and very much representative of the scene. We have some figurines, some Ewoks from planet Endor. These characters were in Return of the Jedi. We have some other figurines. We have Chewie, who is always with Han Solo, the Wookiee, who is his sidekick, helped out Han Solo. We have a Rebel pilot, and we have Ben Kenobi, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is the Jedi Master. You'll see him in A New Hope as he battles Darth Vader in the final scene. We have some characters from Empire Strikes Back on a lunchbox. We have Chewie on the left, Princess Leia in the middle, C-3PO, the droid, and Han Solo. So they're inside the Millennium Falcon. And what's also neat about this lunchbox is there's scenes on multiple sides. So you look down here as you have the Emperor's Super Star Destroyer and Imperial Star Destroyers. You have Darth Vader, and you have Lando and the Stormtroopers. and one of the bounty hunters. So most of the characters on here, Darth Vader and the bounty hunter, and also the stormtrooper, were working on the dark side with the Emperor. On the other side, we have a scene from Planet Hoth when the Imperial AT-ATs were attacking the Rebel base. On the back of the lunchbox, we have the Dagobah system. That's Yoda's planet. You can see Yoda, Master Yoda, the Jedi, was training Luke Skywalker to become a Jedi. So that's pretty neat. These lunchboxes have a lot of detail, and if you can get thermos, you can also find that sometimes inside the lunchboxes. In the back, we have a Star Wars comic from Episode 1, Qui-Gon Jinn. That's another Jedi Master. So during the Clone Wars, you would see him in the first episode. We have a Luke Skywalker Kenner Star Wars figurine. We have some video games from Star Wars A New Hope, a Nintendo game, and also a Super Nintendo game. And then also an Atari Empire Strikes Back game. So in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you did get a chance to be able to play some of the video games, but you still have a lot of Star Wars games out there even today in some of the new video game consoles or on computers. We have some more figurines. We have Rey from the new Episode 6. So it would be after Return of the Jedi. This would be like a Force Awakens. We have Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia from Star Wars A New Hope. We have Lando, which we see in Empire Strikes Back on that cloud planet. He was sort of Han Solo's buddy at one point, or we could say rival. And then we have Jabba the Hutt, where you see him in Return of the Jedi. He's the one that had the bounty on Han Solo because he didn't pay him back. So he sent Boba Fett after Han Solo, and he captured him in Empire Strikes Back. We have Yoda and another Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back glass. Drink glass. And we have some dark side from the Emperor, Darth Vader, and a stormtrooper. And then finally we have a scene from the Death Star, which was in a micro machine. So a lot of different collectibles, everything from glassware to figurines to video games to lunchboxes to comic books to plush and little micro machine scenes. This is just a highlight of the many different collectibles that are out there. So we ask ourselves, where can we actually find some of these collectibles? Some of the ones that I came across, I went to flea markets. Sometimes I found them at local antique malls, collectible stores. Sometimes places like Toys R Us, when they were still around, still sold some of the remakes of some of the figurines. Some of the places like some of your department stores could have had them. But there's a lot of different places that you can find them. Now, a lot more stuff is going online, so you could go to eBay, you could go to Amazon. So what I'd like to do now is, if you want to learn more just about where you can find collectibles, maybe find some information about collectibles, I'm going to show you how you can go on the computer and do some web searches in Google, and also look at some resources to learn more about Star Wars. Maybe you just want to find out more information about Star Wars, the movies. So I'm going to talk about some resources. And we will leave our collectibles. Okay, so let's get on the internet to take a look at some of these resources. So we're going to go on to Google Chrome. Open up Google Chrome. And we're going to go to the Internet Movie Database. So I'm going to type that in. Internet Net Movie Database. This is a great starting point to learn about Star Wars films. And then we go to our Google search results and click on to imdb.com. So once we get to Internet Movie Database, then what we're going to do is we're going to, in the search tool, type in Star Wars. Alright, so results for Star Wars. So we have Star Wars A New Hope. We have Star Wars the video game. So there's a lot of different ones. The Clone Wars, Episode 4, The Rise, more titles that match. So for right now, let's say we wanted to learn about Star Wars A New Hope. You can click on it. And there's a really neat information. So Star Wars A New Hope came out in 1977. It says it was rated PG. 2 hours and 1 minute. It's the genre action, adventure, and fantasy. Released 25th of May 1977. So you'll find a lot of different information about the Star Wars film. Some photos, information about the cast, who is actually in the film. It'll also tell you about, related searches, so about some of the other films. Some trivia. What I really like about this too, let's say we wanted to learn about Mark Hamill a little bit. So he was Luke Skywalker in this film, but if I click on the Mark Hamill character, it'll bring up some more information just on Mark Hamill itself. It'll say which films he was in. So this is really helpful if you ever wanted to see what other films the actors in the Star Wars films were in. So Internet Movie Database, one particular tool that you can check out. And while we're on the topic of Empire Strikes Back, let's take a look on Internet Movie Database and find out a little bit more about Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. So let's click on that. Yep, at 1980. It was released on 20th of June 1980. 2 hours and 4 minutes. And again, a little bit of description about it. Some pictures, who the actors were. So again, you can definitely learn more about Star Wars Empire Strikes Back by going to the Internet Movie Database. Came out in 1980, so it's 40 years old. A couple really interesting collectible articles about the Star Wars Micro Machine set. So if you go to StarWars.com, they have this article called Think Big, Play Small, The History of Star Wars Micro Machines Part 1. They also have a Part 2. But this sort of gives you an idea that the Micro Machines set sort of took place around 1994 to 2002. So that set with Yoda's planet would have been around that time. So it's a really interesting article. They show some pictures and what some of the different Micro Machine products were like. So they have both a Part 1 and a Part 2. So definitely take a look at that. It's an interesting resource. The other resource that I found was I was curious more about lunchboxes. So I was able to look at the Star Wars website. StarWars.com has a lot of great things. The Back to School with Vintage Star Wars lunchboxes. So the specific one that I have, the Empire Strikes Back one, was actually on this page. So I was browsing down, and there it is right there. So it's metal lunchbox number 2, which was, they have a description there. And they talk about it a little bit. It was released in 1981. I'm not sure which color thermos I had. I'm not even sure if I even have the thermos, but I know I have this exact model of lunchbox. So it was kind of neat to read about it. So yeah, definitely two resources to look at. Also, wanted to mention that it is the 40 years since The Empire Strikes Back was produced, the movie. So they're celebrating, and actually there's a neat article on StarWars.com about New York Toy Fair's 2020 Star Wars product reveals. So they're bringing back some of the collectible retro collections. So if you look up the article, Updated New York Toy Fair 2020 Star Wars product reveals, that's a neat one to look up. You could even Google it. And then finally, inside Hasbro's awesome 40th anniversary Star Wars series figures. That goes into depth a little bit about some of the figures and some of their history. So definitely take a look at those 4 resources in addition to some of the other resources that we talked about. And that'll be it. So I was also looking on the internet, and there's also at the StarWars.com website, they have an article called Star Wars Collecting, Taking a First Step into a Larger World. So this would be an interesting article just to look about where you can find different collectibles. Why do you collect Star Wars? It looks very neat. They talk about a lot of different, from books and Legos to all sorts of different collectibles. So that's on the news and blog at Star Wars. Okay, so I'm going to type in ebay.com. This is a place if you want to just see where you can find some Star Wars collectibles. So let's say we wanted to look at Star Wars Yoda. So we wanted to see what Star Wars Yoda was out there. So there's a lot of different results that you can find on ebay.com or Star Wars Kenner. So a lot of different people are selling different different figurines for different prices. So eBay is a resource you can look at to see what collectibles are out there. Since some of the collectibles that I was talking about today were about Kenner, there's a really neat website called KennerCollector.com, which goes over the history of the Kenner toy company and how it became Hasbro. You might also want to check, there's a StarWarsHasbro.com, which also talks about some other types of Star Wars collectibles. If you go to the website abebooks.com, this has a lot of like used books. There's an official price guide to Star Wars memorabilia by Jeremy Beckett. So that might be a book that you might want to take a look at. You can search for information about Star Wars or just check out some really cool Star Wars books and audiobooks at our Digital Library of Illinois database. So when you come into our database or you come into the app, just click on search and type in Star Wars. And it looks like there's over 206 results for Star Wars. So a lot of different books that you can look into reading about Star Wars. And then you can just click on the different pages to advance to another page of Star Wars. So yeah, there's a lot to look at. So definitely take a look at that, and that's at the Digital Library of Illinois. One of the books that is specifically just to talking about Star Wars is something called The Ultimate Guide to Star Wars. This is a Digital Library of Illinois ebook that you can download. Just make sure you have your library card number when you log in and that it's available. And don't forget Hoopla. Hoopla has a lot of different videos, audiobooks, and ebooks that you can check out about Star Wars to learn more about Star Wars, or sometimes just some individual stories about Star Wars. So definitely take a look at Hoopla, which is on our library database. If you wanted to check out audiobook or ebooks that are about Star Wars or a Star Wars story, check out Hoopla. our library database, you can click on the everything and then type in Star Wars and then enter. And you'll get a total of 313 results. You can narrow it down by format, so maybe you just want to read some ebooks. It looks like there's quite a bit of ebooks that you can look at with Star Wars, or we could look at audiobooks. And there's a couple Star Wars titles in there, but mostly there's quite a bit of ebooks that you can look at in Hoopla. So ebooks, there's over 200 different ebooks on Star Wars. And then just click on next if you want to go to the next page. So, and then when you're ready, you click on the title. And then you'll tap on borrow when you want to actually borrow it. And then you can start reading it. And one other interesting free resource you can check out at our website is the Master File Premier. You can actually do searches on articles. So when you click on this Master File Premier, it'll send you to this database. And for example, if I wanted to learn about Star Wars character Yoda, I can type this in here and then do search. Let's try that. Star Wars character Yoda, and then enter. And I found this article that says Yoda, many steps a character makes. So you could find different articles just talking about some of the characters too. So definitely take a look at that. And this is actually the full article on that one. So that's another resource you can check out. Or let's say we wanted to look up at Star Wars New Hope. So that was the movie that we wanted to see what else they had written on it. So they have some articles. So, you know, a lot of different things that you can learn, or maybe different perspectives about Star Wars. So, if you would like to learn more about Star Wars fiction series, you can go to Novelist Plus, and that'll give you a list of different authors and different types of Star Wars. Also, you could look for what non-fiction books are written out there. So if we click on Novelist Plus, you log in with your library card. Okay, so we log in with our library card, and then what we do is in the keywords section, we're going to click on that box and we're going to type in Star Wars. Again, it'll try to suggest different terminologies, but let's just say Star Wars right now, and then do enter. And let's say I wanted to actually look at, I could either look at like everything, this will show all the different ones that are out there, or if I want to narrow it down by, let's say, non-fiction, let's say I wanted to learn more about some of the actual characters, you can actually click on non-fiction, or you can click on fiction, but non-fiction will be for a guide. And then we click on where it says update results. So we'll give it a minute. So let's say we were interested in They have something called Star Wars 1000 Collectibles, Memorabilia, and Stories from Galaxy Far, Far Away. Let's say we wanted to try Star Wars The Ultimate Visual Guide. So it'll talk about what it's about, and then if we can see if we own it, so we put it in here. And we do have it, Star Wars The Ultimate Visual Guide. So this is a book that you'd actually have to check out from the library when it's available. So start Novelist to see what they have, and then you can copy and paste it into our library catalog. You can always do result lists. And then again, if we don't have it, we can always, when it becomes available again, try to interlibrary loan the book. So, and borrow it from our library. So, and then just to get an idea, like, well, let's say we weren't going to want to look at the nonfiction. Let's look at just fiction. You can then click on fiction and then do update results. And then they'll bring up all the different book series. So let's say you were interested in this particular series, the Star Wars graphic novels. You can click on that, and then it'll tell you that it's book 3 in that particular series, and it'll give a description more about the book. It'll give you different subject headings. So this is another way to explore the Star Wars universe of books in the fiction area. Okay. Thank you for coming to today's May the 4th be with you. And these are just a couple of the resources that are out there, and some of the books and some of the collectibles that you might come across. If you have any questions, just contact the library and let us know. And you have a good day.